All right, we are live with another roundtable talking about Heroclix. So we're going to talk a little bit about Gen Con. It's been about, what, a week and a half? And there's been a lot of stuff that happened at Gen Con, and there's going to be some more crazy stuff coming here for Dragon Con in about, what, a week or so? I don't even know when Dragon Con is.
Isn't Dragon Con this weekend?
Friday.
Yeah, this weekend.
Who's going to go to Dragon Con? I know, Jake, you said you're going to go.
Yeah,
Daniel, you're going to?
I'm rooming with Jake and Daniel.
Okay, so, oh wow, so we got a couple people over there.
Oh.
We got some background noise here.
Hold on.
Alright, okay. So, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. I'm Ryan with Glass Cabinet Films. You probably know that if you're watching this. We have a team member from Team Rubicon. Let him introduce himself here first.
Matt Devine. I was the one guy of Rubicon that wasn't able to make the Worlds, but now I'm the only one who's going to be going to Dragon Con. So trying to balance it out.
And then we have Jason with Married with Clicks.
Yep, that's me. I wasn't at Gen Con, but I watched from the sidelines of the internet and the interwebs, if you will. I got to hear all the comments and the descriptions of what was going on, and I got to assume on a lot of things.
And I have Jay here. This is the first time that I had you on.
I think, yeah.
Is it? I think it's the first time.
Yeah. With Team Triple J, which is as of yet not done anything, but we're gonna conquer Canada.
I like that. I like that.
My little protege.
And we have Jake. He's gracing us for a third time, right? This is the third time.
Yeah, and I just want to point out I'm 4-0 against Team Rubicon, so just want to
Oh my goodness, he's just throwing the heat all day. Okay. And I have Daniel.
Hi, I'm with the Heroclix Illuminati.
Oh, yeah, I like it. All right.
Don't
and now
talk about that.
It's the Illuminati. We can't talk about it, man. All right. And we have Clinton from Australia.
Hey guys, much to the dismay of the Australian community, I'm the representative for today.
Yeah, see him.
Oh, now he's back. Oh,
That's all right. The Canadians have me and Jay, so.
Well, we are the two best players in the country, so you know.
I think Patricia would have something to say about it.
Okay, fine. Let's say Ontario. Okay. She can be number one. I can be number two. We can share number two slot. How about that?
There's a couple. There's a lot of good Canadians. You might be able to be in the top 5. That's pretty good, though.
I talked to Michael Tran. He'll be out at Gen Con this year, so he hasn't made it the last 2 years. He'll be out this year. One of the best players up there.
All right, so let's get this started. I feel like I have a porcupine in my throat. I'm not feeling too good. So that's why I invited so many people to entertain you guys, and I'm going to just help keep this organized. And, yeah. So what do you guys want to talk about? I know you guys said you want to talk about Gen Con. Who wants to take a go at it right now? It's up to me. I don't really care.
That was somebody who was there.
Well,
I'm out.
Jason doesn't even have a passport.
Oh man,
he can't go if he wanted to.
So does that leave
Next
me?
year, I promise. Next Gen Con, I'm coming.
That leaves Jake,
Sure.
Does that leave me and Jake to talk about Gen Con first?
basically.
And we get to do an odd about it.
Okay. Well, you know, I'll go first, and I'll just tell you how I did, just so we know how embarrassing it is. Okay. So I played the what? What did I play? Yeah, I can't remember. Bullseye, Cersei, Adara with on Cersei and Parallax. On Bullseye with Bill, and it was a good team. You know, you've seen it around. But my problem was Silver Centurion, bad dice rolls, and Iron Pharaoh because I would always lose map roll, and I always get placed on that stupid map where it's like elevated, and then there's that one whatever. And yeah, I couldn't even get across the map. But I ended up over the 2 days 5-5, which isn't bad. I faced what was the nasty? Well, actually, it wasn't even nasty. It was just stupid. It was Absorbent Man with Hope, and I hit that guy about like 15 times, but that dice never came up. That was the difference of going, like 6-4. But well, I think George was the lowest one at 32, and he was 7-3. So even if I would have won that game, I still would have been 6-4. So wouldn't have had a chance. I think if I would have played the team that Jake suggested, I think I probably would have done better, just because a bunch of those Iron Pharaoh teams did really well. And on paper, you think Bullseye can really do a lot of good with it, but it's not that easy. So,
I told you.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. I didn't have an Iron Pharaoh, so I had to play with what I had. I know I could have. I borrowed like 3 of them, but I chose not to. Oh, well. Jake, you tell them about how you only lost like 1 game. So, there you go.
Where do you want me to start at?
I don't know. Oh, I do want to. Oh, wait. Hey, let me get one good thing. We did place 6th in teams on day 1, and that's about it. But hey, it was pretty sweet, so I'll take it.
Man, our day 1 on teams, we were the 3rd from the bottom. We got a butt kick. One of our teammates went 0-4, one went 1-3. I mean, I had heavy shoulders that day, but it still didn't pull through. I'm just kidding. It was frustrating. The team tournament was a lot of fun though, because it was a different format. I mean, you can win your game just need your teammates to come through. I really like the Sealed draft on it though, because Sealed's probably my favorite format. I played with Adam, which is the national champion Furls, and then my buddy John Rendon from Salt Lake City. We did okay with it though. We got our butt kicked the first day, and then the second day we had really good polls, and we auto qualified. We were the third highest person to get in. So I really like that format. I hope they bring it back again. It was actually more fun than Golden Age was last year.
I heard that's going to be going on. It's going to, from now on, it'll be sealed, is what the general consensus is. I think.
Sealed all the way through the finals.
Are you saying sealed through all the finals, or what?
Oh no, just sealed for the. Well, it'll be the team event will be the instead of like swapping it up like we had Golden Age last year. It'll just from now on the second event will just be a team event. Okay. It'll be a Team Worlds from now on, along with 300 Modern Singles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the teams because it was sealed, which I always enjoy sealed, and you got to partner up with some friends and actually compete. And you could lose a match if your two teammates won. So that was a good thing. It didn't ever really factor in on our game because our third guy, we just really weren't able to get that top tier third team out there. And he was C, so he would always get paired up. Like people were, like matching up, and it seemed like the C's were really really dangerous, so he got paired up with a lot of nasty guys. So he didn't do too hot. So it was left to me and my buddy Steve, and we did all right. But it was tough. It was tough. But definitely do it again next year. I would recommend everyone to do the teams. Just get a team, and it's a blast.
Let's go through Modern real quick and just get that out of the way then, because that's kind of the one I think the most people need to know about.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I had the auto qualifying, which was nice from last year from Gen Con Golden, which was good. I had some pretty crazy teams I was talking about for a while. I was looking at some really interesting stuff. But I think I'd even told you, I think, a couple of days before those nerfs came out from WizKids that I actually wasn't going to play those teams. Remember that?
Yeah, you did. You did say that.
Well, the thing was that I wanted to take the entities back my team to Dragon Con, which I think would have been a funny team down there. And then I actually wanted to take I was really kicking around the Resurrection Man Loki team. The problem with that one is, you're going to lose the, if you're going to eventually lose with that one, because by the second or third round of the tournament, everybody's going to know how the team works. Just keep forcing you to roll off, and I don't think roll off after roll off is any way to win a championship. So I changed from that, and I actually had the two teams. I had the Bizarro, Deadpool, an Entity team with Mystics on it, and then I also had the the Justice League team based with the strategy game figures on it. And I really went back and forth, and I went with the Justice League team based with strategy game figures on it. So nobody expected that at all. Nobody tested against it. And with a meta of Phantom Girls, decoys, 10th Iron Mans, entities, everything else, it has a really good advantage against a lot of those teams. Well, a lot of people don't realize in the entities, if you have 3 entities on your team, that's 75 points of your team off the map. That's 1/4 of it, not even counting your resource. If you pop off the Justice League strategy game figures, throws a couple more characters out there, you can have a 600-point force on the map. That's pretty potent out there. I won my first 2 games pretty handily. Third game, I made a stupid mistake. I left the back of the base out of stealth, which because it was a 2x4, I thought I was in stealth when I planted it. And I got shot, probbed the guy, probbed him into a crit hit. And yeah, after that it was. I mean, I got close. I still killed the rest of his team and got his Silver Centurion down to the 5th click. So if I hadn't got that first hit, it should have been I should have beat him pretty bad. Next round would have been against 2 10th Iron Mans. So I should have been would have been 3rd or 4th at least if I had made that one mistake. I don't make a lot of mistakes like that, but that one really cost me. So not bad though. I mean, there's a lot of other people, a lot of other seasoned and experienced players that didn't do nearly as good as I did. It was a weird year that way for that. A lot of players that dominate in the past didn't this year. There's a lot of people that didn't make the finals that I thought would have. It was just a weird year. Really weird year.
So what ended up happening with Dan Joins' team? Did anyone actually notice during the event that it was an illegally built team with Loki?
Yeah. When they posted it, I was like, reporting. And then I found out that he disqualified anyway. He lost anyway, so by the time anybody found out, it didn't really matter.
Oh. There was also a second...
Probably wasn't intentional, because who the hell ever used Duo with that character?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hold it against him as like cheating, but it's just something.
It'd be pretty stupid to gamble your reputation as a 2-time champion on like that. That'd be pretty dumb.
Well, I don't think he meant to do it. I mean, oversights happen. Nobody caught it in the first couple of rounds. I just it was a mistake on his part. I didn't know that till someone else called it out on it. That's what's hard is you get to a certain level in this game and people just expect you to be this like walking encyclopedia. Like if I ever get a rules question wrong, I get so much crap for it. There's so much stuff to try to remember out there. I mean, things like the Centurion's torpedo in the final game, or things about if this character is a duo, or things about this power interaction. I mean, literally, you can spend 20, 30 minutes a day memorizing stuff, still not have stuff down. So it's pretty complex right now.
Yeah, especially once you get in front of the camera, like me and Amber noticed with the first couple games that we posted with our channel. The second we started posting the games, everybody was a Heroclix judge. So your rules arbitrators. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Glad you were playing.
Yeah.
I talked to Harpua one time, and he told me that he played a game with, I think it was Techno God or Tech God or whatever it is, the old rules arbitrator. He said, we've never missed more things in our life playing a game. It's like we forgot half the rules in the middle of the game. It's easier when you're away from the game looking in. Sometimes you're in the middle of it, though. It's hard, and you do miss things.
The one-directional focus, like your goal is to win the game, and you're trying to do the thing that you think is going to work, and the rules you're just like, oh, that's a thing that's going to happen to me now. Oh crap.
Yeah.
I was looking on the the rules website today to ask a question. I saw somebody posted that at Gen Con they had no idea how to do split if the character already had a token, and like no judge had any idea even how tokens worked, even though you can't actually do split when you have any action tokens. It's just like what are our judges doing?
I mean, for the most part, we probably don't see a lot of split, just because, I mean, how often do you see that? I mean, so I agree with you, though. They probably should know how it works, but, like, in some little bit of defense, it's probably thinking, like, when's the last time I've seen someone try to do that? I can't even remember.
And it was a Gandalf and Shadowfax, too, so literally couldn't have been played at the tournament, and I can't think of really any meta that could possibly happen, so...
Well, it would have been one of the side events if it was a Gandalf, the judges, but they're not the deputies in that one. They're just some volunteers that come in to help out.
Well, one and down, just raised to a higher power. When because I made it to top 16 in nationals this year, and I was playing against the guy who made top. I lost the guy in top 16 who's running the Black Talon Sentinel team, and he, because I was playing a police team, he took out a couple of my pogs with energy explosion, and he's trying to click his Phoenix Force 3 over, and I'm like, I know, pretty sure you can never click it more than once, even if you kill multiple people. Just like in the first judge I called over, like, yeah, you can click it 3 times. I'm like, Ryan, can you click it like more than once if you took out 2 guys in 1 attack? He just looked up for a second, like, no. Moving on. Just when in doubt, just always call as high a power as you can, just to make sure everything's solid.
Well, there was that guy that was really upset about the tachyon ruling, and that was an honest mistake. You know, they just did the math wrong on that one. He was really upset that it cost him the championship. I mean, things happen. It's frustrating when it happens to you. But, I mean, they're just people, man. Like I said, there's so many interactions I've memorized. It's crazy how much stuff you could miss. The judging, I'd say, this year, though, was better than the last couple of years I've seen. There's only a couple of big instances that I saw where there was major issues. Versus the last couple of years, I've seen it be a lot worse. So.
Well, I think Brian was like grooming his team. He kept, because Rubicon. We're only like maybe like 45 minutes away from Rupp and all those guys up in Maryland. So we talk with them every once in a while, and they'll come down and we'll go up there to play games and whatnot. And he's really been making sure that the guys he's bringing with him, since a lot of those judges are local judges for him too. So these are his friends and people he sees on a daily basis. He's making sure everyone was like up to date and prepared for nearly anything they'd run into at Gen Con this year.
That's good, though. That's good. So who's looking to be a Lockjaw?
Okay, I wanted to throw this out there because this figure is something else.
Best 50 points in the game.
I had to bring this up because I knew when I saw that there was going to be a Lockjaw in the Fast Forces, I was like, well, what are we going to get with this Lockjaw, right? And most of you probably remember or at least know about the Lamps team. Now, this is old school Lockjaw, if not better. And for 50 points or even 25 points, you cannot play anything better than this, especially if you're looking for like support, trying to move your team. What are your thoughts on this figure? Is this something that we're going to see all over the place? Obviously, keywords, we're looking at animal, inhuman, and pet Avengers, so it's not like it's this huge spectrum of fit on every team for keywords. But obviously, there's the new age of let's put an entity on them. Now we got keywords, but do you really want an entity on Lockjaw? I don't know. But we have 9 clicks, and he can basically his defense is garbage, but you put a defend next to him. And now you have something even stupider. Like, oh, let's put, I know, like, with the Despotellus, but just think about that. I mean, that's just silly. But, okay, so he's got crappy defense. He doesn't care. We don't care. You waste your actions on hitting him on his defense. But he can carry 2 friendly characters or ignore combat symbols altogether and carry 1 character. Like, that's insane for 25 points in 6 clicks.
You can make him a free taxi with Alyosha.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with this guy. So I figured I would let someone. Yeah, go.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I actually had a chance to play him this past weekend. I played a big Inhumans and Kree team because of Ronan's interactions with the Inhumans, and he sponged, I think, 3 different attacks before making people go, how many clicks does this guy have? Because I think he was thinking on average 2 to 3 damage on each of those clicks, and he's basically like, if you play the game of World of Warcraft or any other MMO, he is a tank. He soaks the damage, he eats it like it's lunch, and doesn't care. He's not going to be your frontline attacker, but he's going to be the guy that brought in your frontline attacker while eating shots in the face for your frontline attacker. That's the way I see him. I mean, I don't think he's going to break the game necessarily, but he's going to surprise a lot of people when he's either being mastermind, being punched in the face, or just being hit in general.
But one thing though that's different about when the old Lamp team's around, Precision Strike. Precision Strike makes a big difference right now.
I agree with that one too. That's why I don't think he's going to be a prime target to be masterminded when bullseyes are still out there.
Well, it's in Precision Strike, it's out there like candy right now. There's a lot of Precision Strike in this game, and there's a lot of Pulse Wave or ways to get Pulse Wave right now too. It's an interesting time right now because you got to going through teams for Dragon Con. There's like 3 requirements. You have to be able to beat New Mutants Copycat because a lot of the guys from California that are coming are taking that. You've got to be able to beat a Bizarro team. Which makes it really frustrating with that one. And then you've got to be able to, get away from the Iron Feral Pulse Wave. So if you can find a team that can do all 3 of those, you're in luck. But that's hard right now, because one team that, like the Bullseye team gets its butt kicked by Bizarro but beats everything else, It's interesting to see, the Bizarro team does okay against a lot of things and gets beat by New Mutants our New Mutants team because there's so many attackers. Well, it's going to be interesting to see this year. What are you guys' predictions for Dragon Con now that we know where the meta's kind of at from Gen Con?
I to a degree, I do believe that there's like a surprise factor still in Guardians of the Galaxy. A couple figures have shocked me. There's a couple figures to keep an eye open for. Like I know the new Rocket, not great off the bat, but the ability to ignore elevated is good in a lot of the choice maps for characters like the Iron Pharaoh, who've been trying to use the elevator that's the slosh map very effectively. But as well, you've got characters like Proxima. I think it's Proxima Midnight.
Yeah.
Who a friend of ours has actually gone absolutely nuts about because all you got to do is tag somebody once for that character, and then they're probably going to be taking a little bit more damage throughout the game, and then you're going to get punished if you happen to kill Proxima because of the Culling Obsidian. So.
Yeah, Jordan was sorry.
Go ahead.
I was talking to Jordan today, and I saw there's because he was trying to do Proxima with a sniper rifle, so when she loses her tokens, she keeps her range, but then we realized that the sniper rifle's the first replacement, and he cried a little bit.
Well, things like that probably caused that.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably more the full movement hypersonic, but yeah, that also just kind of kicks people in the teeth when they want to abuse it with characters that don't have that nonsense.
Shriek.
Yeah.
I've seen about 5 new figures. Alex and I are going to be testing tomorrow. And he talked about 3 figures, and we just did a sealed, and we were just going through the figures on last Friday or Saturday from what we were cracking open, and we found there's the meta is in a pretty solid state right now, but there's a decent amount of a handful of figures from Guardians that can not change things up totally, but they add some new threats and some interesting aspects that one wouldn't think of right away. I'm under oath not to spoil anything, but I'll probably bring something. I want to play something from Guardians, and there's a lot of options, surprisingly.
I think the thing about Guardians, though, there's a lot of surprise factor figures in there. Like I played Thane and Sealed, and nobody realized that once per game Pulse Wave. All they did was read the card and saw where it said support at the top and never read the second half of it.
Oh, it's good.
You can't get away with that one forever, but yeah, every game I played in that. There's some really good stuff in there right now. The thing about Dragon Con that's interesting to me, though, is that, I mean, Gen Con, yeah, people want to win, but $4,000 on the line. I was trying to explain this to somebody. They're like, well, it's just a Heroclix tournament. I'm like, kind of. But if you take $4,000 and you put it on a table and you surround it by 10 or 15 Heroclix players and say, come out and have fun, and the winner gets his $4,000, that's a little bit different mentality people are going to take into this one.
I agree. It's going to be hard to just have fun at Dragon Con, but it's going to get people out there, and that's the goal. And I think that's what we're going to see from now on. I think maybe not necessarily cash prizes, but we're seeing the opens, right? We're having these opens now. We're having more tournaments just than the traditional Origins, Gen Con, and then recently we had Dragon Con. Now it's becoming this big rock, win a lot of money, and now so I don't know. I think it's good, but it's definitely going to be brutal. I think.
If you guys want to send some of those up here for us too, I mean that'd be great.
Yes, please. Thank you. I only just got my dupe, and it's a good thing that this wasn't really one of my years. Otherwise, I would have been pretty sad for cons.
I think TCG Player wanted because I used to be a really big in like the semi-pro. There's a really big on the East Coast. There's a really big pro and semi-pro community for Magic, which I got out of about a year ago. And I think TCG Player, as they dealt in Magic as well, they wanted to jump the bus because there's a store here in Virginia, Star City Games, that runs their own open series with huge cash prizes, and they're one of like the biggest Magic distributors outside of Wizards of the Coast. And I think TCG Player just saw an opportunity where they can jump in. And if they can get Heroclix big enough, they can pretty much do the same thing, promoting them, like elevating the game to a certain point, and then also elevating themselves, which I like. And I'd love to see them, if with the Rock series, raise it to a level of where we can have like a Heroclix Pro Tour in a sense.
You know, that's interesting because I've been talking for a little bit here, trying to see if we can get the game up a little bit. I have no idea what about Magic or Magic does. But obviously, they've done something in the last 25 years that's made it work for them. So what do you think we can do to make it a little bit stronger, our community?
I think it's starting to spread because I've noticed. I was talking with my buddy John, got me back into it when I was in the military. Got me back into HeroClix around Captain America, and even like I think it's because you need like certain people at certain it has to for HeroClix. I feel it's going to start on a smaller level than it did with Magic. Because Magic's just always been around, everyone knows about it. It's kind of a staple at this point, whereas Heroclix really doesn't have that status. But he's been able to take the store that we played at Atomic Comics, and he's gotten all these people who used to play Magic, and now I see them like in the Realms forums and whatnot. They're doing Heroclix stuff a lot more than they're even doing Magic things, and I think it's going to come from a player standpoint first, and once they get enough stores interested, and like I know a lot of local stores that we're talking about, next season they're gonna start doing rocks and whatnot. They're gonna bite the $600 bullet or whatever it takes to run a super rock because it's gonna bring them all this business, and it's gonna be on a store-to-store basis. But I think it's just gonna come from us individually as players, trying to make sure we just get our area, like elevate the game as much as we can to get the notice to WizKids. Because I think WizKids wants to elevate to a higher thing with the Open Series, but I think the Open Series is a small step at this point because I thought it was going to be a much bigger thing than it is. It is really big, but it's within the span of like September, October, and it's done.
Well,
so there's a huge gap.
Next year too. That's just that could also be the first wave for all we know. So.
Right.
I did have a conversation with Justin Zero, and we talked for about a half hour. I can't talk about some of the stuff we talked about, but obviously in their eyes, the game's growing faster than it's ever grown for them. I mean, I know on Realms you'll see people that complain or get upset, this or that. It's not the way it used to be, or my figure came bent, just stupid stuff like that. But yeah, he says they're having some of the best years they've ever had. Without him getting into numbers or specifics, but they're definitely doing really well with it right now.
I've heard a lot less people. Oh, good.
No, that's good. I'm just saying that's good that it's growing. But yeah.
Well, I've noticed a lot less people.
Yeah, meanwhile, everybody. Sorry.
Just a lot less people complaining. Like for a while, I noticed there's constant complaints about how much product WizKids was pushing out, and just like, oh, we can't afford all this. But they've been releasing product this year like crazy, and I haven't seen those same complaints. So they must be doing something right.
Well, and people are still buying it too. I've seen people complain about the zombies, and people still get the zombies. I've seen people complain about War of Light. People still show up to the events. I remember reading this article one time, and they were talking about relationships. And if you wanted a relationship where the girl still stayed in it with you, you just can't give them everything that you want. You always have to be like leading, a little bit out of their reach. And the girl follows you. I'm like, that's not a very healthy relationship, but that's almost what WizKids is doing for a while. Because people are still following, and people can sit and complain, but they're still buying the packs, showing up at events. It's interesting that way. It's really interesting that way. Locally, we're seeing more new people show up and play, though, than we've ever seen before. We have a new person starting almost every 2 weeks or so locally at different venues. I don't know if you guys are seeing that same kind of growth, but it's crazy.
I wish we were seeing that kind of growth. We're not seeing a lot of new players, at least in my...
Oh.
Hmm?
Did he get dropped, or he's frozen?
Jason. His face is frozen.
Okay. He probably.
Nope, he's back.
Oh, there he is.
Hello, Amber.
And there's two of them now.
Oh, so
It's almost like they're
I
married.
lagged out, did I? Because my screen was moving
Yeah,
and
you
everybody
kinda
else stumbled.
buzzed
I thought everybody was lost but me.
Yeah, you wish.
No, but I was just saying, our venue, we're definitely having a harder time getting a lot of newer players. I don't know what we're not doing, or if it's got something to do with the venue and its location, but where I play, it's kind of like the only area just outside of Toronto that's got a lot, or that's got Heroclix still going on. Jay, in the heart of Toronto, I think they have maybe three stores that are actively doing it.
I go to two different stores. Both of them kind of have lower attendance, but one of them, we've actually started having, like, kids come, and it's kind of weird. It's like, there's, like, 5 kids that are coming semi-regularly, like...
Yeah, we have.
And they have, like, really expensive stuff, too. It's like, I want all your things.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We just had a couple
And as far
of
as
kids.
actual...
Finish.
No new adults, though, really. Just people joining to sell stuff. No real player growth of an adult age. Just the kids, because toys are cool.
We saw a couple kids come in with their mom for the last Warlight, and after that playing, like, because they had an Adar and an Ion, and the next, I want to say, like, 7 or 8 hours, myself and Scott, Lovelady, were just pouring, like, trade fodder into trade fodder to get these entities off them. He has all these extra CURs dating from, like, Incredible Hulk and, like, Superman, and just traded him all these CURs, and I gave him a couple extra Connellys, my extra Dark Phoenix Cyclops. By the end of the day, they probably got like 1,000 figures for 2 entities.
Yeah, I remember I was at Deadpool Sealed. I opened up a pack with Sabretooth Chase, and this kid across from me pulls the exact same pack, and then everybody was all over him.
I never saw it. Like, I don't see anything wrong with it because we have this huge trade collection that's going to do nothing for us. We were going to try to sell them online, but because the Connellys were fresh, we decided to hold on to them to try and get the entities we still needed. And they're just getting into the game, so they barely have any figures. So it was just a win-win for both sides. So we weren't trying to exploit them, which I see. Like, that's something I like about this game is the nature. The professional community is a lot more friendly than Magic ever was. That was part of the reason I left, is their professional community just got to the point where the majority of the players were just toxic to the entire environment. And even trying to get into it, people were just, even at lower levels of play, just there was this attitude problem that people were complete dicks. Which I can be an asshole too, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna do this to newer players. Like, I might, to someone like who I've played with a while, I might do it too. Just if, like, you know, they're pushing the limits, like they knew the rules, but they're trying to, like, oh, I thought I could do this. Like, you know, you can't. But a new kid, I'll remind all the like newer players I'm with, like, oh, you still have a Super Senses roll, you still have a Shape Change roll to anything to bring newer people into it. I definitely don't want to cut that off from it, because this is a game I want to be last as long as Magic has, which is like a couple decades now.
Absolutely.
What do you prefer more, though, in like the competitive scene? I mean, is it really that different? I know people you said are nicer in clicks, but as far as like the mechanics, do you think that this is more in depth, less in depth than Magic? I don't know much about Magic.
I like, because Magic's really hard just because there's certain, the metagames, I like, with Heroclix, there's so many different factors compared to Magic, where there's usually just like, there's a set list of decks, and there's very little room for making a new deck just because it has to be able to run all these factors. And with Heroclix, when you make something new, you always have the factor of chance on your side as well, and that's a big part of it. And it adds so much more to the game since we do run into our occasional metagame, like last year's Worlds metagame was like Justice League and Heroes for Hire, and that was it for the most part. And there's so much this they always leave so much room to develop this game, and there's always something that someone hasn't thought of, which is always nice, which you really don't get that in Magic. Magic is always just, you can try for your deck, but usually when someone comes up with something new, you'll see it all. I still watch the streams for Magic occasionally. It'll make it like, oh, this is something cool and new. It'll make it like 2 rounds, then just get destroyed. It never makes it to like, top 8 or whatever, but that happens in Heroclix all the time, and it's amazing.
What's one of the things about Heroclix is you mentioned chance always factors into it, and I mean the surprise level is still there. It's not like Magic where the draw will determine the level of surprise. Sometimes what's on the board somebody will look at and not quite get. I know I confused Kevin Afruz in round 1 of the Canadian Nationals of day 1 because he looked at my team and said, I can't even take anything. I don't know what to take. And then my team started going, and we had a really close fought match on that one. So there's a lot of potential when the metagames is in a state where it is right now, where you can surprise somebody with something that nobody really thought of or really considered could have done something, right? I mean...
Right, I know. Sorry.
Go. No, go.
I know, because I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's the whole factor of you don't know what you're going to draw, and then there's there's stuff on the field that's face down. You have no idea what to expect. Like, you could attack, and then suddenly your whole force is gone. Whereas in Clix, the only real hidden factor is the actual dials, which is, I mean, it's not that hard to vaguely memorize dials, and there's also the whole luck factor where your dice could just turn on you, and you've lost without even, by no fault of your own. And the actual meta is getting healthier, so overall, compared to other games I've played, I much prefer the way this game works. And just even seeing Yu-Gi-Oh players now, they don't have fun. They just don't talk to each other. They just flip cards over and don't even speak. There's no fun to be had there. Whereas this is probably one of the best games ever. Just fun factor.
Well, as long as they don't have, because I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh, but being in Magic, I was always around it. And I don't know if it is like this up there in Canada, the same thing, but down here, it's horrible. I talked to, I believe his name is Mike. He's the gentleman that he was at Nationals. I don't know if he's at Worlds since I wasn't there, but he runs the Four Horsemen shop in Morgantown, West Virginia. And talking with them because they were having a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament go on, I was just bring up because Yu-Gi-Oh is notorious for having so many thieves. Like this huge double-digit percentage of thieves in the game, and I don't see anything even It might develop in time just because as big as a game can get, it's going to attract the wrong type of crowd in some aspects, but I don't think it's ever going to pull. It's because so much of this game is it's built around it's comic books, so a lot of people are like, oh, it's their parents and it's moms and dads and their kids and whatnot. So we'll always have that somewhat level of friendliness and companionship and whatnot. So I don't ever see us ever getting something like that bad where we're just notorious for having something as degenerate as constant thievery.
Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, I was just gonna say that it seems like Heroclix is more of a and I know we like to think about as a skill game, even though there is luck involved. But like Magic and these card games, you build a deck. A lot of the decks that you build generate these. You have cards that you can find the cards that you're looking for. So within a turn or two, you have your combination, and then boom. So whoever gets their combination off first, or you guess the mana, right, or whatever it's called. And if you don't get enough mana, you can't draw your spells. But for Heroclix, from what I've noticed, you can take the top tier team to whatever won Worlds, Iron Pharaoh and any kind of combination of support pieces, right? Say, here, buddy, this is the team that won Worlds, and then that player, if he's not good, doesn't have the skill to even know what he's doing with it, he's not going to be, not going to be successful in the game.
Let me ask you a question about those. Seeing how the game was played, seeing how it was, I mean, there's a lot of people on your YouTube channel where you posted the film. There's a lot of people that seem to hate that style of play.
What style of play?
Well, when something was killed and they just kept away, I mean, it's a valid strategy.
I would say that yeah, people out of the casual player probably does not find that fun, and I would even say that it's not necessarily fun to play against. Just my play style is more aggressive, and I don't really like the turtle, and that's half the reason why I decided not to play the Iron Pharaoh. But that was my decision, and that's not, that's just my, I probably could have done that and thought, well, I at least have my bird that's flying trying to be aggressive. I don't know, but you can't even attack the bird. But
it's interesting to me how mad people have seemed to have gotten over that team. I mean, I think I read one comment on your thing where it said something like, "Why don't you cut your face off?" I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that one. I was like, "Are you really serious? Like, do you not pay that much attention to what's going on here?" I know I addressed it actually myself when my conversation with Patrick or before Patrick actually joined us was, it's the unseasoned veteran or the seasoned veteran watched that game and said what he did was exactly what you have to do. He got the advantage by killing that figure, and he needed to not get retaliated against. He needed to not sit there and wait for Silver Centurion to shoot him in the face. So you get out of the way and you bury your mint. That's just good play, right? It doesn't look exciting, but I used the analogy where two good wrestlers in the UFC aren't going to look like they have an exciting fight. And somebody who knows something about that is going to be like, "Wow, this is the greatest thing ever." So it's the point of view versus experience, like knowing the deep end of the strategy, and another guy, who's gonna a lot of newer players or less experienced players or not overall that great players are expecting two guys to go into the middle of the map and start slugging fists and hoping the dice work for them. So
no, people have been really interesting in this one too. Like they're like mad, not just like a little bit upset. Like they're mad. At least the Ghost Rider last year, I know Dan got some heat for that last year. His dice roll and everything. But I don't think anyone ever told him to cut his face off. That just forget about this.
I think they got more mad at the fact that it was either play Ghost Rider or die in that metagame. I mean, that's the general anger. But like that, the kind of comments that were made about Patrick's playstyle were just they're unheard of and unneeded.
Yeah.
That's not how I saw it.
No,
I mean, we're always going to have that. It's people love their anonymity on the internet, so you're always going to have dickheads just saying stupid shit because they're dickheads and it's on the internet and no one can ever know who it is. We can't never get rid of that. I mean, just as long as it stays there, I mean, we don't want that animosity to cross into the real life when we start hearing people doing crap like that, especially if we get something like a live... I know they can't... because I'm working on a live stream / podcast thing with the rest of my teammates. I know for like some events, because they did a nice job with it at the Canadian Nationals, but I know at some larger events it's harder to do because if you want to stream something, they have outrageous internet fees.
Yeah, it's like $400 a day, I think, at Gen Con to get internet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably crap internet, so you can't doing a stream event is just near impossible. But I know some people were asking, like, if with the Open Series coming, if someone who has experience with it trying to do that. I mean, you always have that stuff on there, but as long as the representatives and the commentators are good, and you don't have any unnecessary mean-spiritedness and leave that animosity to those idiots on the internet, I think we'll be fine. I mean, people will be stupid, but one quick question. Are people commenting on this? Because I want to see if there's questions to respond to or anything.
I haven't seen anything major yet.
Oh, I just I thought, because I remember seeing before there used to be a live chat thing, but now the only thing I see are just a comment section.
Yeah, I'm only seeing one comment.
Yeah, this Raul Padilla. We're all down for clicks in TJ XD. Really small community. Do you? Yeah, I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's crazy.
So I mean, then asking this, Matt, as you guys going forward, are you guys helping? You really prepare for Dragon Con then?
Alex has been helping me as soon last week because I was all game about going because I have I have 100 points set in stone. I might have 200 to make sure I have the 2-day bye, because Scott won a super qualifier as well as our other teammate Jonathan Compton won one, but he won it. It was in Southern Virginia, and he was living in North Carolina. He's in Nebraska now, and apparently his points are still in North Carolina. So I asked him, like, well, I'm driving from Virginia to Atlanta. I'm passing through North Carolina. Can I meet someone and, like, you know, because these points are worthless after this year, and just letting them sit there at least gets me another bye, so I don't have to play through. I mean, I'm just glad I don't have to play. I don't want to have to play through the day one event. Just seeing that there's so many unknown factors there. It's like, oh, everything carded, but Star Trek ships. Like, I don't want to have to like play around. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to read like what these Yu-Gi-Oh figures do. Fun times.
The Yu-Gi-Oh figures do horrible things. Horrible things.
Yes, I've seen some of them. I'm just like,
I still don't know what a Yu-Gi-Oh is.
Well, you know, that's interesting. Yeah, I've got like 280 points just from various things, WonderCon, judging some other stuff. I was actually thinking about just like keeping the points though and just trying to play through, see if I could sell some of the points down there. And then Dan, who I guess left, just told me all about the cosplay girls that were running around. So maybe I'll just do that for 2 days.
He's making like 10 teams a day.
I will vouch for Jake. This man, oh my goodness. I'm not even gonna go. I'm not even gonna do.
Let's hear it. I want to hear if it's what you think what you're gonna say.
Oh, it might be. It might not be. I don't know. I don't know how much game this guy has, but I can tell you what happened. So we go to Steak and Shake. I don't know. It's like super late. Like we're talking 11 o'clock. Everyone at the con decides that they want to go to Steak and Shake as well, and we get invited. Okay, and they have like 4 or 5 people already at a booth. The line is literally out the door. Out the door. That's like 30 people. He waves through the glass and then like looks at the waitress, and I don't even know what he did. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, come in. And then they just basically gave us a table, and we sat there for like 45 minutes waiting for 2 other people to show up that they just let them walk in as well. So
you waved with a 50 in your hand, didn't you?
I don't, like I said, I don't have any idea what Jake did, but the man we
got there on that work. We went there on Wednesday when we first got there. She was this waitress. I just started talking to her, and she was a little bit standoffish at first, but once she got through the I call it the bitch shield, she was fine. And no, she did. She gave me like a dozen cookies the first day. She's like, please come back and see me. I walked in the next day. She hugged me like 3 times, gave me another dozen cookies. It was great. And then the last day, I'm like, I'm not going to see you after today, you know? And so when I sat down, next thing you know, like I get hit in the back, and I looked down, and she threw a pickle at me, trying to get my attention. Threw a pickle.
And then you got a lap dance.
Yeah.
You know, last time I got a pickle on the back of the head, there was almost a divorce the next day. So consider yourself lucky.
Yeah, it was fun though, man. I like Steak and Shake. They have a pretty good menu downtown.
Yeah. So all I know was, if you need this spot, you got a spot. So I don't know how you got that spot, but I'll take it.
It worked out for you, right?
It worked out for me.
Did you get your Steak and Shake? It's a winner, right?
Yeah. So Ryan, I think you had a pretty rough Gen Con for a while. All said and done, though, did you enjoy yourself? I know when we saw you. I mean, all I could do is give you a drink. And
oh man, I thought we weren't gonna go there, man. So I basically flew in at like super late, like 11 o'clock. I'm literally begging people that I see in the airport, like, I need a ride downtown, and everyone's like, psh, 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 no. And then I'm calling up. I called up Jake. I called up George. I called up.
You didn't call me. I just heard that you were looking for a spot.
But we did talk at some point.
Yeah, I heard you were stranded, so I tried to get a hold of you.
Yeah, and eventually because my ride would have got me in at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, that's not happening. I'm sorry. So I'm like running around the airport looking for like some transportation. And last year I took a cab, and it was like $40, and I was like, no thanks, I'm not doing that. And then I raced down to find this like $10 bus where I got the last spot downtown. and then met up with John and John Compton from Rubicon and Jake, and we were. Oh, Jake was with Adam, and oh man, that was. I just sat on the floor, had a cranberry and vodka, and tried to relax because I was just like, "What the heck?" And then later the next day, I like rolled my ankle at that night at Steak and Shake. My ankle's like swelling up. I'm like, "What is going on here?" So it was eventful.
I heard it was rough. They just kept talking about, because I was bugging them all day about like, you know, how are you guys doing? What happened? Like this and that, and then finally just get a text from Dre, just like, we've been playing like for like 10 hours, dude. We'll contact you in the morning when we start again. But it's like this day's been killer. Just they got in at like 2:08. They left Wednesday around like noon or a little bit after noon. I think like 2 or something. They get in like a little bit after midnight. And then they got to get up bright and early. They have to play like 10 straight hours of clicks, then go to bed really late, or get some food, go to bed really late, wake up, do it all again.
Yeah.
Like I know they mentioned Dre was so happy when because even though like sadly the guys on his team didn't qualify, Dre, Compton, and the professor Paul, but they were just happy to chill, honestly. It was even like when John Union qualified nationals, like the day after at Origins, he was like, but honestly, I was like, you guys had to get up early and do all this stuff to play in top 32. Like, I just chilled and walked around the con. And it's like, it made it a lot more enjoyable later on.
No, it was great having the bye. I played in a Star Trek event, beat everyone at that. Played in an Apex event. I only played one Battle Royale, though. I felt bad. I pulled Sphinx, I think, 2 perplexes and a probability control with it, and in like 28 minutes or something, 26 minutes, because we had to wait another 20 minutes. My little 350-point team, it's killed almost 1,100 points. So, yeah, I didn't play anymore after that. It wasn't fun for me, and it wasn't fun for them, you know. So I just did the side events, but they were fun. A lot of nice players in there. So back to team then. How many team Rubicons? Just the 1 or 2 Rubicon teams made it to the finals in team?
We had 3 people made it into the modern. John Yoon, Scott Lovelady, and Patricia Lamb all made top 32, and they made up to top 16. And then John and Scott made top 8, 5th, and 6th. But we had 9, since we have exactly 9 people on Rubicon, but since I couldn't go, Patricia took, I don't know his last name, but Drake, the guy who was playing New Mutants and made top 4 at Canadian Nationals. He was my replacement on the team event. Those 2 teams qualified because we had our stacked team, which was Patricia Lamb, Alex Avila, and Scott Lovelady. And then we had Michael Byers, which is Ryan's rival, John Yoon, and Drake. They qualified. They both that team, they made top 8. They made 8th, I think, exactly. And then of course Alex, Patricia, and Scott played your guys Jake in top 4.
That was a good game. It was pretty exciting. I heard because John lost his, I won mine, and I guess Adam beat Patricia. So
yeah, because did you play Scott or Alex?
I played Scott.
Yeah, because he's mentioned Alex like, I'm sorry, because like Alex, I guess Alex won first or something, and then I guess it came down to Patricia, and then Scott made it lost like last because his was the last text saying like, you know, oh sorry, but overall like everyone was emphatic how well we did overall, because this was the first time John Yoon was able to he made top 8 in 2 events after never qualifying for Nationals or Gen Con 2 years running. Scott's always just happy to be there. He got to play his Ironman one last time. Still made top. I mean, he made top 8 with it. He's played that team to death to such success. And we expected him to do the best of the team, like we did with Ryan's interview last time. We were calling that he would do the best out of us just because he's tested that team to death. He won a Super Rock with it. He made 2nd at Nationals. That's why I was kind of surprised with Patricia not deciding to not play with the Pharaoh team that she made 2nd with. I guess just to play something new, she went with the Bizarro team.
Well, I think there's part of that surprise factor too. When people see what you play, especially when it's broadcast and they broadcast how you play it, there's no tricks left. There's no tricks left.
I mean, Nick Peterson decided to still run his Wizard team.
Yeah, talk to Nick
That
today.
Canadian hero.
Nick's a solid player though. I talked to him today because he won Dragon Con last year, won Canadian one this year. He's doing pretty well. I asked if he wanted to come on the broadcast. He said not this time.
Well, actually, the team I made top 16 with at Nationals was based off of a team he made because we ran into all of him, like him, Tim Bold too. We ran into him at the Super Rock in West Virginia, and myself and Tim went 4-0 in the Swiss. I was just playing a variant on the Ironman armor team. Instead of a second Ironman, I was running Scotty's Warbot and DC 10th Blue Beetle. And he put together this police team. It was like 2 bikes, 2 GCB auto bikes with the ATA, 25-point Robin from like the 60s Batman set with the ATA, Daughters of the Dragon, but just the I think just the Colleen Wing one, the side with the 70 points with Outwit. Cerise with the belt and Cosmo. I was like, it was a solid team. It was a really solid team, and I loved it. And then Deadpool drops, and they premiere Banshee. I'm like, oh, and he's a cop too. It's like well, I cut Cosmo, I cut Robin, and I cut the Daughters of the Dragon. And I threw on Banshee, and then we threw on 2 damaged Warbots. And it was a team that 3 of us played. Alex didn't play it in the qualifiers and nationals, but he played it in the top 32, which he ended up he lost his first round. I can't remember what he played against, but then we had to play each other in a mirror match. So, and I ended up edging him out on points to knock him out of top 32 and me into top 16. But then also our teammate Mike Byers played it too, and did pretty awesome with it as well. So, and I told him about it at nationals, like, you know that police team you played in West Virginia. I'm like, yeah, I took out this because I thought it was kind of like chaff, and it gave me another primary attacker in Banshee. We were going to test it with the battery, but we were worried to death about the Lydia thing and how they were going to rule it. Because we even brought up with Brian, he's like, well, I think the intent was she can steal the ring, but it's kind of a gray area. And this is before like WizKid just came down and said like, all right, the solid ruling is if she goes second, she can't steal anything. But we were unsure of that, so we're like, we'll just stick with the belt.
Interesting.
It probably would have done better with the battery, though. Looking back on it now, if we did go with that, because I didn't lose a map roll all day because the team had an 8+5 to theme, and just shutting down free actions would have been I lost a Sentinel with Black Talon with all the multi attacks he got. It just wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have been able to do what he did with the battery on the field. But now the metagame's not really. The metagame now can kind of, with Bill and everything, it can kind of really. I have to keep Banshee back most of the time, so we decided just to it was an awesome team, and my other team members really liked it, but we kind of just shelved it for now, since the metagame just changed so quickly between nationals and worlds.
That new Rocket Ass Police keyword.
I know you guys play test quite a bit, though. I mean, you guys play together quite a bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we leading up to Worlds, even though I knew I wasn't going, we played. It was at least, possibly more every other day. We were either going to, well, actually, we just go up to Alex's house and just have 2 to 3 games going at once. Just all right, and then we were just testing out everything. We were gonna play with Monel for a little bit, and it was just Monel's okay, but what about this guy? He's cheaper and he does just as well. And
I had never played the Justice League 300 points in a game until I got to Gen Con. but I'll pull a map out though, and I'll run through stuff on a map. But every time I've ever sat and tried to play against this team, play against that team, play against that, it never shows up what I'm expecting. So I more try to memorize figures, dials, range, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Just there's so many possibilities. At least you never get to the point where oh, I've memorized every dial, so I know every possibility. It's just some people might be able to do it, but I just don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things I noticed this year is a lot of the higher success level players were the ones that get a lot of practice in Patrick showed it because he's been in like every ROC that's had the word ROC in front of it, and he came up to Canada to play in the nationals, and like I've gotten a lot better this year by unfortunately playing my wife a lot and almost divorcing at least 6 times.
That never keeps on going up when you tell the story.
You know what? We played a couple games since I last told that story, so. Every time she rolls a shape change roll, I call a lawyer.
No,
but
I think
go ahead, sorry.
There's a lot more people now that are getting experience in big tournaments. You know, they're willing to venture out because they did get a chance to play in the ROC, and you know, for them, they finish in a top 8 in ROC. They get pretty excited about it. That makes them want to venture out to something like Gen Con. I know this year, I think, was the most players they've ever had in competing in Worlds, which was really interesting to me. So,
it was over 200, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
But on the flip side, they also didn't have nearly as many spots as they've had in the past also for the finals.
That's true, because between you and George taking up, not George, you and Daniel taking up 2 of the auto qualifiers, plus we had the Canadian Nationals and European and Mexican champions all taking up spots on the next day too, and of course the Origins Nationals winner. That's a lot of spots being taken up on day 2. So that means, you know, with all these tournaments that are happening, there's less chance of getting into day 2, or you know, less spots open for day 2 that they have available to them.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's what's going to be interesting going forward here. Sorry, I'm trying to draft as I do this here really quick.
It's all right. We were warned.
It's going to be interesting, though, to you know, going forward, though, because if WizKids wants to keep expanding out to more national-type things, I know Stefano was a European champ, but they did a UK champ. He says they've got Italy coming up. Is it going to be like one European champion now? We'll get that auto buy. I know in America, or here in America, we had the national champ at Origins. They had a Mexican, you know, from Mexico. They had a Canadian one. So they had 3 from this continent, which I'm sure there's the bigger player base here. But it's going to be interesting as the game grows to see how they try to expand that way, what they're going to do next with it.
I mean, if I was to speculate at the highest level of speculation, I can definitely foresee maybe Worlds already being you got to come in qualified from X number of events that they're going to run, and they're probably going to start this. I think this Open Series might be just the lead-in to something possibly bigger, where all these countries are going to start having these open championships that each country is going to have a certain number of spots available to them in a world. I mean, again, this is a high-level speculation, but I think that's where it could go if they continue to get as many players with the organized plays they have been.
But
I could see him doing Europe.
They might lose the people that want to show up and try to qualify. I know when Alex won 2 years ago, he was the last chance qualifier. He went all the way through the last chance bracket and came through and actually won. That's why everyone at first was like, who's this guy? But he's turned out to be an amazing player, you know? Which was great, though, because it was nice that when everyone else was trying to get through the semifinals, this guy and this team completely came through, won all of his games, showed up in the finals, and it's a team that no one else had seen yet. I thought that was really cool. That was really cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if they choose to divide it if Europe becomes a big enough thing on their own, and the game just progresses much, and if WizKids is willing to if they kind of just put if they have a European Worlds and then U.S. Worlds just to divide it up, just so you don't have as many slots taken, and they're willing to contribute enough prize to, because I know they have their big European tournament, because Patricia came in at second place. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year.
The one they held at Spiel des Jahres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was last year. Last year, because Stefano beat her in the final.
I remember she was running Loki, so I figured it had to be last year. And I think that was before. It was pre Heroes for Hire Nerf.
Yeah.
That was still running rampant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting. I'm surprised they haven't at least announced another watch list yet. I'm expecting. I didn't expect anything to happen until post Dragon Con, but I just have a feeling they have another watch list in the works with everything going on with entities and whatnot.
Well, there was one of the game designers was actually there. He watched a bunch of my matches, especially in the sealed, but he watched most of my matches with a notebook, and he wrote down a ton of notes. Because he wants to see how the
You're ruining the game.
What's that?
Said you're ruining the game.
I didn't do that bad this time. I was pretty
No
nuts.
police brutality. No Gary Oldman beating the shit out of people with just a club.
Yeah, but I know that he took quite a bit of notes though, and he wanted to see because the thing is you can envision how you want people to play the game when you design something. He said it to me, but you can't foresee all the different ways that they're going to be able to abuse that. You know, I think that it's a little bit naive for people, you know, especially on Realms, think, well, I can't believe they let this release, they let that release. Well,
I don't think they have a group of guys sitting in a room getting all sweaty playing Heroclix all day. I don't think they're doing that.
This can point back to Magic, because Magic ends up, it was something that one thing I did appreciate the company did, it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago they started doing this, where they started taking someone who was big in the pro community and they'd hire them on as an intern in the development portion of it, because we'd brought this up, because for Rubicon, like when it comes to like making the most ludicrous teams, it's Paul Briggs, our member, the professor, and he's like, as soon as something comes out, he'll notice a way to exploit it. And we were just discussing, like, WizKids like needs to find someone like akin to Paul, like hire them on, just because at this point, because WizKids I don't feel can have the excuse where it's like, because before they were so small, they were like this company that just made these little miniatures games, but now they're backed by this huge company like NECA, so and they're doing so well currently, like possibly, and even like a lot of these guys, I don't even think they even want or expect a full-time position, but even just you sign a non-disclosure agreement, you go in there, and when they're developing this game, you look over the entire list, you start testing pieces. They just need a couple of guys like that know the ins and outs of playing the game to like at least nip some of the stuff in the bud. They can't get everything, because like, and you just, some things like some revelations when it comes to like what's going to break the game you can't expect, but at least like some things, not like a whole mess of problems won't come up, which they've been getting better and better at, but you don't have to have every few months a new watch list like, oh, we got to nerf something again, guys. At least have some player on there like, all right, I played this guy, it worked out great. It's like, but you guys might have to tweak this, because it's like, knowing professional players, they're going to break this as quickly as possible.
But it's not personal, though. I mean, I've had some people get upset with some of the stuff that I've come up with. I mean, I want to win as much as the next guy. You know what I mean?
You're playing the game to win. You can't be blamed for that.
Well, no, and really, I've always looked at it this way. All we're doing is the best that we can with the parameters that we've been given, you know? George last year when he came up with +2 stats, he never had to roll off of when he could keep making attacks. That was definitely not intended, you know? They figured that out. The guys that figured out they could pop Deathstroke off and heal them all the way up to the top click, that was never intended. There's always people looking for ways to win, and you can't fault them. But at the same time, you can't fault the designers either on some of the stuff. I mean, some stuff, from what I've heard, they definitely stop quite a bit of stuff. I mean, they do play test. I just don't know the extent of it. You know?
I think they play a very, very careful and very good with what they got. Game of keeping these characters very similar to the funny books that they're based on, while at the same time trying to make a game that two guys can sit across the table from each other and not want to, and still be able to play a fair game with what they give them, right? And
yeah, they play. As a company go, they're doing a good job. We're just saying, as something for the future, it'd be wise to consider bringing in professionals every once in a while to, since so many that everyone I know just simply loves this game, and even the professionals love it even more. We play to win, but we want the game to progress. So bringing professionals in every once in a while so that you have that viewpoint, because the designers can only test as well as like they know how, and most of them don't. They just don't. Some of them they have. This is, I doubt too many of them want to play this outside of work a lot of times, since it is their job and they do have their own personal lives.
Yeah.
So, but bring in someone where a huge part of their life is playing it, professionally, semi-professionally, to give them that other viewpoint on it.
Well, and I think a big part of it too is kind of the forest for the trees. I mean, if that's what you do, I mean, if you're ever like doing a big writing project, it's always best to have someone that's not you read it, go through it. and see what they can change, what they can edit. I'm sure that they're working on it. They're getting there. Like I said, the game's growing for them, and I think that they realize that some of these hurdles that they need to figure out at some point. It's interesting though to see like with the meta this year, because I didn't pick Iron Pharaoh to win, because I thought a lot of people knew that was what would be coming, would build against it. But then you got the designer sitting there writing down things, taking notes. Are we ever going to see a figure like him or Phantom X again? Who knows? Because it generally, from what I can tell, it takes roughly 6 to 8 months for WizKids to make the changes that they need to make, because that's what I would guesstimate that's what the design process would take. I would guess. I don't know what from concept to when product release is, but you look at like roughly about 6 to 8 months after Gen Con last year. That's when we started to see the limits of free actions. That's when we started to see things change. So it's going to be interesting to see 6 months now or 8 months from now the difference that we're going to have with the game.
I'll add a little bit to that. I mean, for the watch list, there's a ton of possibilities that they could possibly throw out there. Now, like you just mentioned with Phantom X and Iron Pharaoh. Well, Phantom X, you can kill Eve, but you can't kill the bird from Iron Pharaoh. So, like, you ever see possibly the suggestion that they might make it so that it can be killed? I mean, that's possible, but I don't know.
I don't. It would take a lot of it because then it's not like other nerfs they've done in the past where they just have to change a few wordings around the rules. Like this, they actually have to physically make a bird character at this point. So I don't know if they're. I don't imagine them nerfing it. There's not like this huge public outcry against the figure, and there are still ways around it. Like something I noticed today. I'm not really spoiling any text since I was just bored and I was looking through. I pre-ordered my lantern batteries a few days ago, and something I noticed, even though I'm not overly impressed with their ability, but the indigo battery just is a nightmare for Iron Pharaoh teams, since their ability says if the character isn't within 4 of a core member or adjacent to the indigo battery, they can't draw line of fire to them. So it doesn't matter. Like that stops the bird dead because they'll never be able to shoot an indigo core member through the bird, since they'll be on their turtle on the other side of the map.
I thought it said lines of fire are blocked, which means that Bill can just fuck that over. I'm gonna look it up. I was pretty sure that worked.
I think though what he's getting at ultimately is that there are one of the things, instead of watch listing things that WizKids has been pretty good about, is directly countering them with figures on the board. We had a little while around, I'd say, GSX and Brave and the Bold, where there are figures that you put them on the board and then all of a sudden they shut down a power. Like Harry Leland was used to stop hypersonicers, chargers, and running shotters. Leech was just flat out stopping power actions. It's just like no, you can't. Who was another one? Was it Zoom? Kid Zoom. You can't use hypersonic. So I mean, what they'll do before they do a watch list is do a hard counter. Last year was the year of the free action, and then this year is White. We had White Witch and Green Lantern Power Battery to stop that. Yeah, and Agent 13 even. If they can do it with a figure, they'll do it with the figure before they do it with a watch list. I mean, we might see something that says if your character is possessed, they get nothing for it, like a generic exorcist. You know?
I've got to get off here with you guys. Is that a beer, Ryan?
Oh.
Is that a beer?
No, it's a black cherry Fresca.
Oh, okay.
I have a Harley.
All right.
I have Jake's Harley over here, so nobody cares.
Oh.
The icons, 21 point.
I really want them to preview that because I want to be able to talk about it. So that's all I can say right now. But
you tease.
Yeah, we've got to be closer, right? It's the next set. But I've got to get off with you guys. It's been fun. Hopefully we'll do a post Dragon Con winner with me with winning the thing. No.
Doesn't Patrick have enough points to have a throne of skulls to sit on in the final?
Yeah. All right, it's been fun, you guys. I've got to get off, though. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, have a good one, buddy.
See you this weekend, Jake.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was gonna. There's a couple people that have some questions here in the chat. I figured we can cover those real quickly. see what's going on, and then if we're ready to end it, we can. Since we did about an hour, which I was thinking that was good. It seemed pretty good. Didn't go too fast, which is good. Any questions here that you see that you want to talk about first? I mean, they're all pretty basic. The first one, if you go on YouTube, if you go on YouTube and look in the comments, you'll see these questions.
Right.
Well, there's this guy whose opinions of Rock wanting to ban entities, and was there an announcement made of the Rock wanting to ban entities in Silver Centurion?
I think what it is Rock's got this multiple format system that they run.
Right.
And this next season, what they're doing is they're running 2 formats instead of the 3 that they ran this year. Next year, one of them is no tactics, modern age, 300 points, and included with the tactics is the entity's possession power.
Okay.
Now, what that does, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a different level of competitive play, a different chance for a different type of player to get a chance to get some rock points if they are not comfortable in the resource metagame, or they know more about playing without resources, and they still have the second half of the year with your standard 300-point modern age format. So I like the way that the ROC kind of mixes it up. I've never had an issue with it per se. They're allowed to run their tournaments the way they are. I think the one in Windsor falls under March, and it's April where they start doing the modern age proper. So I'm gonna have to play my ROC in that format. So I'm actually already starting to think about ideas, thinking which characters come back into the metagame that have kind of drifted off, which ones aren't as strong without the resources. I mean, Brother Voodoo is starting to look very tasty again, to say the least. But yeah, that's what they've announced for that.
And this is because that was something I was wanting to look into, just because I at least have a solid 100 points for Dragon Con, which means I might have to play the second day, which is 300 modern no tactics. And I don't know if they made an announcement for at least Dragon Con where I can't use entities, because that's what we're just expecting is like, 300 no tactics, so it's nothing but characters and entities, or that's what we're expecting it to be.
I think they did announce that they're, like Gen Con, they were saying something to the effect of entities are getting lumped in with tactics, which we might actually see be included in a rulebook or in the future. I'm not speculating on that one at best, but a lot of people seem to think that the entities should fall into the same category as resources with regards to tactics in the game.
I do know for rules, talking with Brian Rubb, one of the things he's definitely said they expect to see next rulebook will be something to do with another change to mind control, which I think they're going to change what the point value is. I don't think they'll change it back to its old one, but possibly lowering the point value to take unavoidable or something like that. Because he's like, for a while, it's just, with Brother Voodoo and Mole Man and everything running amok, that they're like, we have to change mind control again. We made it too good.
The two characters that don't take the unavoidable damage are what they're going to use to change the rule. Yeah, that's going to work.
Well, I mean, we also had Black Talon, and just the fact that it's like it has to be 150. Like, that's what made my teammate John's Black Talon Iron Pharaoh team so good. When Iron Pharaoh is such a big part of the metagame, he's only 110 points.
Yeah.
You can mind control to your heart's content, and you never take any damage.
Yeah.
Okay, so I posted another one here. Is when you're not getting ready for big games, do you guys play theme teams, comic book accurate type teams? Are you guys comic book fans? Do you guys play any other mini games like War Machine or War Hammer?
I gotta admit, I got into this game because I had some. I used to work for Games Workshop way back in the day. But it was the only job I've ever been fired from. And I got very angry the day I got fired. And the day I got fired was actually a week after Heroclix had come out. Anyway, so I was like, I love this company, I'm going to go play Heroclix. This sounds fun. But I'm a big fan of comic books. And if you watch mine and Amber's channel, every so often you'll see me pull out just a comic team I like. It's not all the time. I'm actually trying to get better about it on the videos. Like this most recent video we put up, we did. I played the Black Order versus Amber playing the Inhumans. So we even kept the game itself kind of to a degree of Thematic, although I felt, once again, like a big bully playing the Black Order because they're just so strong. But I do often try to play the occasional comic theme team. I'll especially read ahead on my at my venue. If it's a prize I've already got, I don't want to be that guy who's stealing the prize from everybody else who wants a chance. So that's the day you'll see me either play the ridiculously silly idea that I came up with, or a very to the comic accurate team. It's kind of the thing where I do get a lot more casual games than a lot of the people I know, so I get a lot of chances to try ridiculous comic-based strategies or just out-of-the-box ideas that nobody would even think feasible. And yeah, that's where I get my extra out. If anybody else wants to take the floor there.
I agree. I mostly play comic accurate stuff as well. Just in the Guardian of the Galaxy OP kit, I just played Sinister Syndicate because I just got my Mysterios to try that mechanic out eventually, and it didn't go too well against all the zombies and other meta, but it was fun.
One of the things I noticed about Mysterio is I often forget which one is the main Mysterio. I place them all, and I'll be like, oh wait, which one's the one I spent the points on? Alright, let's play.
Tiny little mark in the smoke that denotes it.
I do the same thing with my Madroxes too. My multiple men.
How many do you have?
Please be the one. Please be the one. 5. And one's dead. Alright.
Damn. They're so good though with that. Just their offensively and their defenses. Like if you can base people with a 25-point character that gets like 10 and 3 flurry or 19 in close combat, they're amazing.
We actually just started a local thing. I convinced them because we were talking about starting a league, and they're like, well, what are we going to do as our premiere event? So I was like, well, why don't we do like a big good guys versus bad guys thing, which we're going to start in like maybe a month or two. And we had everyone that wanted to do it. They're just going to pay a small thing for just like OP covering the OP kits for the next few months, and everyone's going to have to make a named theme team, good team, 1,000 points, and a named theme team, bad team, 1,000 points. No resources, nothing stupid. So I just went with my favorite team. I'm I'm being possessed by George Massey now. Is Society. Except I'm not running Black Adam. I wanted to, but it was really hard. So I'm running like DC. I'm running Lex Luthor, DC 10th, Renegade, Gentleman Ghost, which I get to use this awesome little. When I traded for a Gentleman Ghost from a buddy of mine who went to Origins last year, he traded me one of his old Heroclix like Lynch Ghosts, so I used that as my token instead. This spectral guy with a noose around his neck.
I threw out so much Heroclix stuff, and I keep hearing things like that. It's like, oh, I could have done that with that thing.
But yeah, it gives me an opportunity to play all these. I love playing the Society. I also have Simon, Deathstroke, and Dr. Light from Teen Titans. And then I decided, since my teammates got me a Hulk duo from Worlds this year, I went with Defenders. So I pulled out all these Defenders as my good team. That might actually be my better team, and I love Society to death. And I'm running both ATAs for both, but that's probably why the Defenders is better, because they're a TA where they can also swap attacks when they have when I can get to a 12 attack on Duo Hulk. Just seems stupid. I mean, but I'm having fun with it. I just like I like if I'm playing an event, I want to at least justify all the massive amount of clicks I have. So I'm like, all right, I have to play this figure because I've never played it before, and I bought it for $5 as a deal or something.
I think that's been one of the. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you go. It's fine.
I said one of the biggest problems I've been having is been keeping up with the themes. I've been trying to play everything that I've been getting, and there's not enough time in the world between work and all the other important games I got to play and everything like that. Like, I'm trying to squeeze all these other ideas I want to play, or all these other themes that exist, and I just want to play them, but there's just so many that I'm still trying to catch up with. I'm still trying to catch up with themes from Spider-Man.
There's just so many.
I meant Red of Spider-Man.
I believe it. No, I guess I'll go next here. I love playing comic book themed teams. Comic book fan. Of late, I haven't been able to read as much because I pretty much invested pretty much all my hobby free time to Heroclix and not comic books. But they're a blast when you can follow them. It's kind of tough, so getting trades is sometimes always the best because you can just get the whole thing in one time. But I'm kind of limited on how many games I can play per month. So basically, right now, with all like the Con in your stores and the War of Light, I pretty much am being able to make it just to those events. So unfortunately, it's just sealed, or I haven't even been able to make it to any of the Con in your stores yet. But eventually, whenever I can. But the last theme team I played was it was like a team up, 2 figures at 300 points. And I had to try out the movie Rocket Raccoon Chase and the 200-point group, and they actually played pretty well together, surprisingly, at least in that format with just the 2 characters. So it was fun. I'm a big Rocket Raccoon fan, so obviously I had to get him out there as quick as possible, and it was pretty fun. But I would like to get in. To more casual games, but like you said, Jason, it's when you already have the prize, or if you don't want the prize and you really just like the prize isn't that crazy, you're like, this is the time to bring out some fun theme team. And I like X-Men, but nowadays the X-Men are actually not a laugh. They're not like a laughing stock they were like a couple years back. They're actually pretty strong.
Yeah. I mean, X-Men does this weird curve where it's like back as far as Explosion, the X-Men team was the team to fear, and then GSX, they're not as scary, and then Wolverine and the X-Men comes out and they're scary as hell again.
Yeah, they're very nasty.
Especially with the AVX starter too. I mean.
Oh yeah.
And the 3 Deadpool SR is just amazing for X-Men teams. When you have the amazing Cable who does everything, you have the Wolverine X-23 who are the best close combat thing you could basically field, and then you have Banshee who does what Banshee does. You're just amazing.
And Wolverine from Days of Future Past,
oh yeah.
That's amazing. Free regen when you got 2 tokens is just.
It's what everybody who plays Wolverine has been hoping for. The free regen. Why do I have to wait till I'm clear to regen?
Yeah,
and it's not starting your turn, so you can do the action and then regen, then start your turn, next turn regen again.
Oh god,
lovely.
Yeah, that figure is actually pretty nice. Let's move. Unless Jay, you have something you want to talk about.
Oh god, it's just the comic accurate stuff you can play in this game is just amazing. Just like recently a Slosh when we have like this guy just doing his nonsense. Just Legion of Doom, even without Bizarro and Grundy, like it's just still an amazing team when you can have just an army of Superman action figures doing like 11 and 3. And just but generic themes are also great. Like tomorrow, I'm going to play 300 Modern or Golden Baby, and I'm just like, I don't care. The prize is the one of the objects. I'm like, I'll play Toyman Swarm Scientist theme. Like, who cares?
It's funny. I gotta look at the new objects in Guardians of the Galaxy, the 3D objects, and I was like, I'm gonna lose so many of these cosmic control rods. Nope. The Terrigen Mists I can't seem to keep my hands on. The bigger one of the two.
I remember when I lost my Cosmic Cube, it was just, it took so long to find it. It's so tiny. And it can't even stand up on its own. But yeah, just keyword cheating now is incredibly fun. You have Doug, you have GW Bridge, you have so many entities. You can just make a theme team without actually making a theme team these days. There's just, but comic stuff is generally the most fun. But just sometimes you just want to play generic, or you just sometimes want to play just mishmash, Spider-Man, wildcarding Batman Ally, and then you add in the Joker for Batman Enemy. Just all that nonsense is just amazing.
Yeah.
So much to play, so little time.
That's what I did with Society, because like 75% of the Society figures are calculators, so I had to make sure I could get as many other TAs. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
and then the
General
only-
has Mystics,
Yeah, you used to have only Silver Banshee for Mystics, and that was pretty much it.
and I dug up the old Ellie from what is it? The old Ellie Mr. Freeze, the completely clear one for He's like really cheap, but he's got Batman enemy, and he's a lot better now with the new change to RCE. And he has Society on him, so.
Yeah. Back in the day, back in like Collateral Damage and it was the pack with the figures with the not Ghost Widow or something. Is that's their name?
City
Armor Wars. Oh, City Villains. Yeah.
City Villains,
So
City
back-
Heroes.
Yeah. So back when I made a fun little team with that because you had the wild card with basically what it was is you had Lobster Johnson, which was crazy back then because it was like impervious without wit, and then you had the 50-point, I think it was 50-point Batman from the Icon starter set, and then Emerald Empress, which was back then was pretty sweet because she had like run and shot, pulse wave, pretty good damage, and she was a wild card. And then you had Ghost Widow, I think that's her name. It was like Arachnid, which was Mystics, but she was also had like really high defense, poison, and support, and the Arachnid. So, but it's kind of fun, like you were mentioning about Slosh, because now they made the new Emerald Empress. I haven't really got a chance to use her, but a lot of these new figures are coming back. And back then I always liked playing the Fatal Five. Well, at least with Emerald Empress, and back then there was Dr. Light with the Ranged Combat Expert. Like that was just fun, but you can't do that nowadays because you get all the entities and resources but it's fun. The game has evolved from all these special, non-special powers to seeing what you can get out of your powers. Like now you got special powers, and it just makes everything crazier. Now people can shoot through walls. Now your possession figures. I mean, it's evolved, not necessarily for a bad way, but it's for a good thing.
I mean, if people want to play casual, they always release enough stuff to appease both the professional and the casual crowd. I mean, any game has to do that. Like Magic especially had to do that, but like WizKids, like definitely has to do that because so much of this game is just the casual game. It's just it's all those comic book fans that got into it. That's why I got into it back when I was playing Magic. Was they played that before I played Sunday Magic. I was always waiting, and I was like, oh, I read comic books, and I just started playing back in Infinity Challenge, and it was right before, because Gen Con that year is when they premiered Hyper Time. I still have my little promotional Batman, who's still quite the beast.
The one with enhancement.
I actually want to ask a question for each one of you. This is not one of those, but for me, this game has been a lot different than it was when I first started. When I first started, it was just like that. You get these miniature figures, and you're like, wow, this is kind of cool, and then you can like attack, and then you're doing damage. Before that, I was playing Magic for a couple months, and obviously Magic is totally different than these miniature games. So it's like you get to read your comic books, and then you get to actually kind of play out some of those storylines on the map here. Like, say, if you're like an Iron Man, you can build like your Iron Man with War Machine. But so basically what I'm trying to get at is when you first started the game, do you remember like that first figure that you got, and like what did you feel like compared to now? Like you open up a case or something, it's just like like right, it's like you don't even really think about it. Maybe there's something that you want, but you don't get that same feeling of like when you first got something. Like the first figure that I pulled was a vet Iron Man from Armor Wars. I didn't even know what I pulled. I mean, I was just like, this is cool, Iron Man, and then we played with them, and it was like, wow, this is actually really good. And just curious, like, what was that figure for you guys? If that's even a thing. Like, do you remember like your first like really good pull, and did you even know what you pulled?
If I was to say a good pull, I didn't pull anything good until I got to think clobbering time. It was the first set I actually pulled a unique figure because that was the rarity that. The first figure I did pull was Controller out of my Infinity Challenge starter, and I was like, who the hell is this? I have to read more comic books. This game has actually caused me to read at least quadruple the number of comic books I do read, because back before they started with the cards, there was this website. I don't know if it even still runs anymore, but it was called Heroclix, where there's a lot of times where you come across a character in Heroclix and be like, what am I looking at? You go to Heroclix and it would give you this whole rundown of the character, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, that seems like an interesting idea. Let's read a comic book with them, and then all of a sudden my comic book collection got way bigger. But yeah,
I can second that as well. With the like the last couple of years, they've been making the figures from comic books like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So like you had the Trinity, and then you had the Thor set. Like I read that story arc, and then like later on, all those figures were coming out in that Thor set, and I was like, this is actually really cool. Like if you look at the Thor set, Hammer of Thor, and you look at you can actually go back to the comic books, and you can see that they basically took all of those figures from this particular storyline, and that's actually really cool for comic book players or comic book fans. You know, they do that a lot, so that's really cool.
I also remember we got all the because I took a small hiatus in between. It was Monsters, Mutations, and Captain America. So I went back and looked at all the sets. I still get that feeling occasionally when I open up a character. Like when my first booster coming back was Cap, and I pulled Weapon X, so that made me like super excited. And even now, like it has to be the right figure now. Like the last one I probably felt really excited for was the Chaos War Taskmaster, because he's one of my favorite characters. Sure. And we had the Avengers one was so terrible. But I remember seeing all because I just finished reading Annihilation Conquest, and they cover a lot of those figures in the Hammer of Thor set as well, and I thought that was really cool. Like, oh, that's the Ultron that was possessing the Phalanx, and they model him exactly like it looks in the comics.
Yeah, it's cool. Any more want to add on to that?
Yeah. The comic accuracy, definitely I love the Bullseye from Web of Spider-Man, because Dark Reign was by far my favourite era, and just seeing him there. I'm not sure why he's got that like grey muzzle around him, but I only started at Chaos Wars, but went back, got that off the secondary market for a reasonable price, and fairly happy with that. But as far as pulls go, I didn't buy Blind until about Fear itself, and first booster ever, Iron Spider. So fairly happy with that.
That's cool. Yeah.
First valuable figure I pulled, and one of them was Cosmo, and he's just been my favorite, one of my favorites ever since. Especially with the rise, and then the watch listing, and then the re-rise of the police. It's just, he's still so good. No, original Scarlet Witch. He's just amazing. And also, as far as comic books, it just bleeds one into the other, where I'm like, oh, I like Lex Luthor, I'm going to get all of his clicks or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, this is a figure I literally know nothing about, or a storyline. I'm like, oh, I'll read that. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then they forget to add references, like how Chanos doesn't have a comic book reference number. Cape Crusaders makes no sense because it's just the first issue of Hush, and just like they'll just not do comic references sometimes. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? I need to know what comics to read.
We have a full chase set based on covers.
Oh yeah, who knew that Iron Pharaoh was in the New Mutants?
That's why I wish. I really wish they'd go back to that, because my buddy and teammate Scott, because he's not an avid comic book reader. In fact, Alex got him his first comic, I think, for his last birthday, and it was The Killing Joke. But most of the time, the ways he learned about these comic book characters were those little excerpts they give explaining like how they were significant in this storyline or like their origin.
Oh, God.
And I love that too. It's like, oh, that was like I didn't know who the hell this person is, like, but now I do, and that's awesome. So I really miss that.
If I ever worked at WizKids, that would be the first thing I would do. Just bring back BIOS.
Yeah.
Especially,
those were nice.
imagine like anybody remember how awesome the ones for Deadpool were, like the Web of Spider-Man and the LE from Giant Attack were, like those were amazing. Like the BIOS and the Deadpool main set would have been amazing, but then they didn't get them anymore.
But then where would all the words for the powers be?
Oh my God! I've been making a lot of custom dolls lately. I noticed just the way I word things, it's just so wordy. Like all of my cards would be like 2 pages long. It'd be ridiculous.
They should have had like Deadpool, like he would do the BIOS for every single character in his set. That would have made him even better.
I definitely foresaw something like that happening.
For Team Matter, he'd be like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Or everybody's super strength's like, he's not really that strong.
Someone did that on HC Rounds in the preview thread.
Yeah,
yeah. I remember that. That was really good.
Yeah.
Deadpool was doing. Yeah.
It was cute.
I got one more question. There's a couple more, but this one I want to
Ask
answer.
a good one.
Okay, this is a good one, I think. Maybe not. What's
Time's
the...
valuable, Ryan.
I know, well, sorry. What's the best way in War of Light, sealed or constructed, to deal with Sodom Yacht?
Red Lanterns, penetrating
Red
poison.
Lanterns.
Play them.
Especially if you're not playing against a
Fuck
battery.
you, Jason. Not everybody pulls him or weapon or every. Oh my God! In months 5 and 6, you're gonna pull them both times.
I'm gonna play them both times too.
Oh God!
Do you guys have a product for 5 and 6? Is they're not shipping anything? Like that's having a problem with that.
Our store has been very clever about keeping an eye on numbers and keeping the packs back. I'm not sure if they're going to be regulating who can come to month 5 and 6. I know I've heard the idea of using starting early with the participation points, where month 5 is where you can actually start gating it with the points. I thought that was a good enough idea, but it's not going to stop enough of the players who have been coming to our War of Light. And my store is really good at improvising, so I can definitely foresee like month 5 and 6 if they happen to run out of product, being War of Light only constructed.
Yeah, that's what we plan on. My main venue, we already have because they sent us a whole lot this month. Yeah, because this is the first month of Wave 2. So we at least have an extra brick of Wave 2 that we're saving, definitely for 6, just in case we have to do, like, all right, 1 Guardians, 1 Warlight, 2. Mm-hmm. 5, we're probably seeing ourselves have to do constructed, but definitely Red Lanterns answer that question. And if you're not fighting a battery, Red Lantern, Guy Gardner with his stupid charge flurry, and 12 attack.
I had one chance to play Wave 2 in a tournament, and I happened to pull Red Lantern, Guy Gardner, and Sodom Yat, and I was like, what do I do? It's
Sodom Yat.
So many options. So I took the Sodom Yat with the green power battery, and what's the Sarnak Natu with the TK and the TK support? So.
Oh my God! The one time I used support with her in my game against this one guy that me and Jason know, just crit miss, just right off the bat, just. Hate that woman.
Okay, I got the scalpel here, and it's in your eye. But yeah, penetrating damage. I know the Star Sapphires can take shots from Sodom Yat and punish him for it because they come with that Mystics and the Shape Change. I've seen them become bothersome for Sodom Yats. We had one guy pull the Star Sapphire pack, play it, and he actually managed to kill 2 Sodom Yats on his way to a 3-0. He just happened to be under my points.
Yeah, we had a guy who nearly beat the guy who won. It was last round. He was playing again. The guy pulled Star Sapphires, and he got Sodom Yat down to his last click because it was Fatality was the only one who was left. So it's like, oh, you got to take that 2 unavoidable. It's like that gets through everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about your ability.
I'm getting afraid of my venue. I think they're starting to learn to actually do damage to the power battery
Yeah.
because they saw what I did with it in one game with the Sodom Yat, and he's like, "Wait, it can do what? What click is that? 18, 20, and
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason is the Jake of our community. Yeah.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I just have to be public about it.
I understand where he's coming from because I really want to see and I know like when I mentioned to Alex, like I was like, yeah, imagine if we had like a Heroclix Pro Tour or something. His eyes just lit up like, oh, I can just play Heroclix for a living and make money and stuff. I'm like, it's like it'll reach that point eventually, but not.
I tried that with Versus. It always seems like a good pipe dream. It just doesn't turn out that way. And then you've got a bunch of Versus cards you got to get rid of.
It was so good. Versus just I don't know. The game seemed like. I heard the prize support was really good professionally. It was like with World of Warcraft too.
It's funny you should mention that because it was good until the World of Warcraft came in because it's the same company making both games. And then they pushed all this prize support that they were doing for the Versus system over to the World of Warcraft, and all of a sudden the Pro Tour just up and disappeared with the World of Warcraft. It was all of a sudden. It was a little obnoxious.
Well, Versus was definitely the better game of the two.
Yes, I agreed.
But I mean, Heroclix, we're not going to lose anything, and they can always divert it because they've already started pushing the higher ends of the Star Trek stuff. So I could imagine seeing them starting to run like professional like attack wing along with which I played a Warlight up at the Glen Burnie store that Brian Rupp goes to frequents, and when we were doing Warlight, there was more people playing Attack Wing on the other side of the store. So that was something completely unexpected for us. I've
been hearing there's been a lot of players showing up at a Sunday Attack Wings at my local store, the Comic Warehouse. So they deserve it. They hook us up.
I can't believe the one time I've ever been there was that one time when no one was playing.
Well, that would have been the time you were on the way to come meet us for the big 1,000 point brouhaha, right? So
in addition to that, there wasn't the tournament because of the big Warlight. So
I don't know if you guys follow my channel, but I have a friend who's a really big Heroclix fan, and I don't know if his wife knew what she was doing when she did it, but she was nice enough to get him a Green Lantern cake with a gigantic picture of, I'm not even kidding, the Heroclix Ion on it. It's on our Facebook page.
It was the best.
It's pretty brilliant.
and then we had who photobombed it. He put his Ion on it. Somebody else put their black hand, and I put my dupe on it.
Yeah, just photobombed with many characters. But it was an ice cream cake, so we had Dupe holding an ice cream cone, eating more ice cream cake.
I was surprised to see how well Dupe did it. Like Dupe's a metagame figure now.
Oh yeah.
When he topped 8 at Nationals, I was just like, Dupe!
Yeah, I played him. He pretty much works well with any resource. I played him with the Phoenix Force, got into +2s. He's amazing.
I noticed there was a common thing. It was either him or Headpool, which Headpool's the cheaper option, but he's you can't actually attack with Headpool. But it was throw the entity on him. He's never going to take more than 1 damage, and he'll be carried by Bizarro, and always for the first couple of clicks he'll be healing him. And
oh yeah.
And here I thought I was being clever using Resurrection Man with Dupe and needlessly healing him.
No. The best combo is still Groot and Dupe. You can't
go away.
wrong.
Go away.
You're just mad that I came up with a better combo, and that I'm getting the rockets finally, so I'm gonna win all the games.
Well, what was it? I was surprised because the guy who designs all our team, it's a running joke that he tries to throw Headpool on everything, and then I just thought it was so weird seeing that all over the top 32 were Headpool teams. I'm like, who the hell have you been talking to about Headpool? And we've been saying it as a joke, and someone took it seriously and did amazing with it.
Headpool is kind of the best, though.
You know what? You got when he's in the middle of building teams for Team Rubicon, you've got to put him on an HC Realms band because he's got to be on late night benders of team building. He's just eyes are squinting, and I'm gonna put this on HC Realms and see what they think. and then everybody's playing it.
Well, we were gonna have because we always choose like new names for the back for our T-shirts or something, and we are gonna choose for him. We ended up choosing Professor for him, but we're gonna just have it in quotations like, so I've got this team with Headpool. Alex was gonna be like, Paul, shut the hell up about Headpool already. We're just gonna have this long gag. It's just gonna be one long conversation along the back of our shirts, but then we just went with nicknames instead, just because it was easier.
Actually, the secret team that I'm actually now going to reveal, the 300 points, the most annoying team you'll ever have to face: Headpool, Professor Prime, Dupe, Groot, 33 points for a resource. Your opponent will actually kill you.
No, your opponent will quit Heroclix before that game is over. It's just like, I can't play this game anymore. I'm done.
Like, the best they can hope for is they maybe kill the Professor with energy explosion, but then just the rest of your team's immortal. I'm an asshole.
It's part of the, like, when they design I love, like, they make so many interesting figures now, like, especially now. They just I can't wait to see where this game's gonna go. I mean, for now, like, this is the one part where I don't know where they're going from now. I know we have Flash in November, we have Trinity War after that, which someone told me there's like 2 new resource, like Pandora's Box, another resource are going to be coming with it. And I'm like, and then like the next event we even heard of isn't even like a HeroClix event. It's the Yu-Gi-Oh!
And we're getting
the Yu-Gi-Oh!
resource there.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I never watched Yu-Gi-Oh! So
it's going to either be stupid or overpowered or both.
I fear the day that Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets mixed in with the comic book stuff, and I die of confusion. It's like, wait, okay, so it's a dragon. How tough is this dragon? Because if you actually look at some of those figures look so tough and just die to nothing, but some of them look incredibly weak and won't die.
Injection Fairy Lily is that's how she plays in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2. She's basically a weak character, but then you sacrifice life points and then she turns into a beast.
Well,
that's basically how she works in Click.
I wanted to see if they integrate them. I was going to make a team with like Iron Man 2.0 or Ironmonger 2.0 and an army of
Karibo!
Karibo! Suicide penetrating.
The second I played against a Karibo, I was like, I know what I'm doing with this guy.
Yeah, and then you play some Hawk Girl, and then you just call it the Suicide Girls team.
I was also gonna repaint my Ironmongers like fists, since they're yellow and like almost look fuzzy, just to, like paint them into like Karibos or something, like he's chucking.
Stupid Yu-Gi-Oh!
Turn it into Pokeballs, and they'll be like, that's not Pokemon. I know.
Yeah,
whatever. But you're angry now. You're tilted.
Are they supposed to be doing They're supposed to actually be doing flavor text with the next wave of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that just really pissed me off. Like zero flavor text at all.
I have no idea.
They sometimes they do it so well sometimes, and then you just like flip us off and say, no flavor text, we're lazy.
You know what? When it comes down to it, I'm over it. I've bought a couple packs only because I played a couple sealed battle royales and had some fun with them. In the slim chance I was going to get a real Con LE, I didn't. I bought a couple packs after the fact just because I wanted to see how much more neat stuff I could get, and then I had to stop myself because it's like I'm still not understanding or even interested in finding out much more about these things. And then I got a character called the Happy Lover, and I was like, I give up on life. I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's a ball with wings and it's colored.
Yeah,
I didn't know what to make of it.
Yeah. There's this one character who's like amazing with like a shitload. Like it has like triple target incap. Oh yeah, Happy Lover. It has like triple target incap and 10 attack, 8 range. It's amazing actually.
I looked at it. I said I'm done buying this. I'm not buying anymore.
There's a card called Shining Friendship, and based on the precedent, it will be like 11 attack, 10 range pulse wave. Yeah, Yu-Gi.
I haven't used any Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, so I can't even.
It's some of a lot of it's really good, but it's just I can't muster any interest just because the game itself is just so unfun, and the anime is just so stupid. And then this wave was more like classic stuff. The chases were all like the original main awesome monsters. But wave 2 is just gonna be all the new shit. So like, nobody's gonna care, unless the dials are crazy. But Flash though.
That I see Flash bringing back hypersonic, and I see the rogues. I was actually going to get into this before Patrick joined our conversation on Sunday. I see the rogues bringing a lot of multi-targeting and incapacitate, and a lot of multi-targeting range with guys like Boomerang and Captain Cold, and
I'm really hoping that Boomerang or somebody is the next Bullseye. We just get Bullseye out of there, because especially because that version of Bullseye will literally does not lose to any Daredevil ever made in this game.
Nope.
Ever.
No. Yeah, and they give him traded super senses like, oh, I have precision strike. Who cares?
Yeah. It's like, I evade nothing. You evade nothing.
Like, I said this on the other stream, but just, like, when the AVX starters came out, and I was playing, like, one versus the other, and when my Cyclops, who happened to have precision strike, would kill Spider-Man in one blow, I was just so sad. Hopefully they get like some different kind of defense other than super sense, or they just ignore it, something like that. Hopefully.
I want to see the new rogues. I want to see what they do with Mirror Master, just because that seems like, especially if they did something like Iron Pharaoh, but he can shoot through like objects or something. I thought it would be really cool.
Or he's like Mysterio on crack, or he can just. I'm surprised that we only. I'm surprised that we only had that one cyborg who shot through objects, and nobody else ever did it again. Unless
there was
forgetting.
Wasn't there the Joker that turned light objects into the remote control cars?
Give him a free action. Give him a free action. Turn a object within 8 squares for 1 turn into a Pog with 8 attack and incapacitate. Like it's not, and he can't like. No lines of fire or anything, just it turns into a Pog for the turn. It's not that special.
Oh, speaking of Pogs, have you guys seen the Captain America Pogs yet for the Sentinel?
Oh my god!
Yes, they do. The 25 pick up the ultra heavy object.
Yes, I can hypersonic, and with an 11 attack, 18 def. I'm 5 points cheaper than Scotty's Warbot, but I can hit you for 6 damage and fly away.
Left hand, right foot. Yeah.
On their own, they're already potent, and the fact that they show up after killing that Captain America Sentinel, and that Captain America Sentinel turns into 4 ultra-heavy objects.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like more print-and-play stuff.
There's one guy somewhere out there in the design team who he's in a dark room. They got him with the lights off, and he's sitting there going, "Oh, I got this brilliant idea. It's con exclusive. No, it's so good. It's going to be con exclusive. It's so good." And that's the guy that comes up with some of the twisted things like dupe and this giant Sentinel, Captain America.
In every single set, you can basically point out the one bullshit, like complete bullshit thing. Like whoever invented Banshee is like that one guy. You have dupe. You have just like one character from every set, and then that guy was just like 25-point Pog, hypersonic super strength. But then there's the right foot, which is 18 defend, decent values, pulse wave, an enhancement. I can't remember anymore.
Oh, let me see. I have it. Where is it?
Foot. 5 movement, 11 attack, pulse wave, 18 defend, 3 damage with empower.
Empower, yeah. The other one is 11 is 5 movement, 6 range, 11 in cap, 18 barrier, 3 enhancement. Jeez.
We aren't getting we're not getting the opens, the WizKids opens, are we, Jay?
No. They haven't announced any WizKids opens
don't get
or in your stores up here. Hey, you know what? We just got a Nationals. Let's be happy about that.
WizKids.
We were allowed to touch the con exclusive giants. I mean, they let us buy them.
WizKids would rather exist in New Jersey than take a break to come to Fan Expo, which is one of the biggest conventions in the frickin' whatever. It's so stupid.
You know, we can complain as much as we want, but there's always reasons they can't come up here. And I mean, have you ever tried to ship anything over the border? It's not cheap, but there's always reasons for all this stuff. And I mean, Cara Magica was actually the facilitator of the Canadian Nationals. It's not like WizKids came up here and ran it. Carter Magica said, "We'll run it. We'll run it like you want us to run it," and they did a fantastic job of it. Even with the if you look at first glance, you don't feel like they could fit as many players as they had going in there. But once you really start going in that store, they had the seating well done. The tables were set up. They had maps on every table, and they had the live stream going. So I mean, given the space that they had, the equipment that they were given, they did a pretty fantastic job of running a Canadian National. So they know that we can run a tournament up here like that. It's just a matter of getting them to ship some of the cooler stuff up here. I've been patient with them for as many years as I've been patient with it. It took it this long to get a major tournament up here. I'll be patient a little bit more just to get more cool stuff. And when it's new, I've made my peace with we're not going to get it first, and we'll get it when we get it.
That's WizKid's motto. I mean, when other than Guardians of the Galaxy, both Guardians of the Galaxies, those are the first two sets in a while where they didn't just they announced the date a while ago and they came out on time. The past 2 years was we're WizKids, it'll be out eventually. Well, they gotta just start doing that thing that Blizzard Games does, where it's coming. Oh, and 2 weeks. All right, it's coming out in 2 weeks. Yeah.
But what you wanted to you didn't want us to lie to you, because that's all. If they don't tell us when it's coming out, then we don't have an expectation. If they just wait and then give us short notice, well, we were gonna get it anyway, right?
And every once in a while they surprise you. Like when I was surprised hearing that you guys were allowed, the people who went to Gen Con were allowed to play with Guardians of the Galaxy, but then I heard something well, they kind of I heard they ran out of Deadpool. I'm like, oh, okay. They weren't surprising us with kindness. They ran out of Deadpool. Oh well, I'll take it.
That's what you think? Zombies? Really?
Well, people were doing that at Nationals. Battle Royales are they're passing on DC ones. So I don't want Slush. Oh, it's but I can get I don't care about Dupe or Whiplash, but I could get a zombie chase. So they were signing up for the Marvel ones like crazy.
Yeah.
And passing up on con LEs for freaking zombies. I'm like, really?
It was for the first 2 days, I would say that it was 80-20 Marvel. And then they started on Saturday, they're okay, we're going to give you guys constructs if you play in the DC one. So then people started, so then they were given a bunch of stuff. So you were going to get an LE and they were going to drop a construct on there. So it was then you started seeing people saying, wait, I'll play some DC now. But it was heavy, and you got to do Marvel. You get to play with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so it had a lot going for it. Plus, like you said, the zombies that people were. I literally actually came in second one of them, and the guy he said, "Well, do you want the LE or do you want the zombie?" And I'm like, it was a Whiplash or something, and I was I'll take the zombie, thank you. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. Then somebody came tap me on the shoulder and is like, you want to trade that? And I'm like, well, what do you have? He's like, I don't know, a Mazo or something. I was like, I'll take a Mazo over, I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was just crazy. People just love the zombies.
Something about the Marvel zombies, it makes people want them. It happened in Supernova. Supernova just went ballistic because there was these 4 zombies that came in 1 in every 4 cases. They were ridiculous to get, and people went rabid for them. And then there were in Monsters and Mutations, and people want Mutations and Monsters, and they want those zombies, even though they weren't even super rare. There was 1 super rare zombie, the Cosmic Power Cosmic Wolverine. Yeah. And the rest of them were, but people were still crazy over them. They were over trading for common and uncommons and rares, and Deadpool comes out with the zombies, and Deadpool flies off the shelves because there's zombies in it. They've struck gold with this zombie thing. I don't understand it, and it makes me very happy when I trade the ones that I don't care about away.
I don't even own a zombie. I don't. I like zombies, but in the game, they're worth too much for me to keep. I'm like, I don't need them that mad. It's you can have them. I'll take whatever goodies you want to give me.
Like I pulled the Doctor Doom. I was happy with that. Amber wants the Wolverine related one, so she wanted the Sabretooth from the first set. I at first kind of wanted the Green Goblin because the Green Goblin was cool, but I got into looking at him and it's like I'd prefer Green Goblin. I could play like the 10th anniversary one, so I traded my Green Goblin away, and then I'm happy with Doctor Doom. We have a Red Skull that we're really trying to turn into the Magneto that we're interested in, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So we're kind of biding our time now on it. To maybe wait, but we're not rushing on them. We're not going crazy over them because they're more for us. They're collection pieces as opposed to play pieces. We're not really going nuts with putting them on the board.
Really?
Yeah,
because I've noticed like people just are. I haven't really seen people that are collecting the zombies rapidly actually playing them. Like the problem for me is that just it seems that all these characters are just the only modern or just the only good dials for these characters we've ever gotten. Like that Sabretooth is amazing. The Doctor Doom the Super Skrull. There's never been a Super Skrull even remotely as close to as good as that one is, and he's undead. It's just for most of these characters, you have to get them just because of how good they are for the character, and as well as the fact that they have their normal keywords.
The Gladiator's kind of comparable to his team-based counterpart. Who's a little bit.
Gladiator's okay, but just.
But
I mean, it's also amazing
for the others, like Morbius. He kicks the ASM Morbius's ass.
Oh yeah.
Both of them suck though.
He's
I don't know.
overpowered.
I mean,
wouldn't play him.
the best
You know
one.
what? All the vampires always look like they suck until they hit you.
No, he has to hit you so many times. The Draculas, once they hit you once or twice, they're good. But he needs to hit you 4 times. That's crazy. I don't know.
I mean, the Fear itself one has no problems hitting you twice with Flurry in charge, right?
And the Book of Skull Quake, yeah.
The generic Skrull's stupid too, just because you have this decently cheap. He's got Indom. He's a generic. So you just like I'm running a Skrull army with a regular Skrulls and then a whole army of zombie Skrulls because they're all really good generics.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say, like, I seriously think that either one or both of the new Skrulls are gonna show up in Dragon Con, because that Skrull with 3 rollouts with Super Sense's normal shape change, Skrull shape change, and plasticity, and his trait, and he can convert people at that point, or just the Super Skrull who just does he does everything. He can do any power you want at any point, plus whatever resource you want to slap on him. He can just Swiss Army knife. He's amazing.
There was one disappointing one. The Mole Man's kind of meh.
The Mole Man, yeah.
Well, given what we just had with Mole Man, it's like going from the second Batman movie to the third Batman movie. We had such greatness, and like, where can you go from there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
he gives him monster sidestep. Like it's not the same. As
he's not his dial is completely inconsequential. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, he's like the one you pull and you're like, oh, I'd rather have like a super rare, like the Beyonder or something.
Unless you're playing like the team base, but yeah, I don't know. They're bad. I don't know. Like,
well, that's the thing. They made him kind of a must-have if you're going to be playing the zombie team base, because the ability to get the extra solo adventures off of him is pretty nuts. You can get, I think you can get below the 3 with the Mole Man on there, and
if you pop off Magneto and Electro alone, you still have 180 points, which is just basically any one zombie, and you can just go nuts from there.
And then you can just use Magneto to like double TK the guys you've
and the
to go up
Magneto.
and attack.
I in theory want to get every Magneto just because X-Men and he's Jewish and whatever, but I can't get this one. It's not possible.
It was just actually there were 3 boosters before like they had to open up a new case, and we just myself, the local judge, another player. I pulled Thanos, which is the last rare I was missing. The judge pulled nothing and then he handed the boost to the other guy, and the guy pulled Magneto. Yesterday.
I split a case with somebody, and I let them have first pick. He pulled Magneto. So
I just need to learn to keep. I ordered my first case from Ryan's shop, and for the 2 Marvel sets in a row, I've pulled a Chase, the Common Prime, and the Super Rare Prime. Like 2 sets where I pulled Wizard last time, and then I got my case a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, and I pulled the new Doctor Spectrum.
Oh, I was actually going to bring that up about that figure. What do you guys think about that power where he gets a plus to his attack for every color that your opponent has that you hit.
It's awesome.
It is.
Rule 3 up his attack. Yeah, it's amazing.
You're almost always going to be swinging with a 2+, but 3 is not very hard either nowadays.
I mean, I want to run the Prime one more, but just the fact he has that stupid pacifist vow thing. He starts off with like energy explosion and 3 targets. It's like, oh, he just murders armies, but he has a pacifist vow.
The way I would play him is more the Psychic Blast, Penetrating Energy Explosion, let somebody else finish off the dude anyway.
Yeah, you try to take out as many people.
Yeah, like even with Deathlock Prime, like there are plenty of dudes who you can play him with who are just good finish offers.
Yeah.
I was gonna play him on a Squadron Supreme team. Oh wait.
Hey, I'm betting they're gonna.
Hey, look, there's an
give us an
ATA.
ATA.
Oh, it's the old one.
I was gonna say I think they're gonna give us an ATA that costs like 5 points because you got to balance out the Prime costing, or we're gonna get a Power Princess that does something weird. I keep thinking it's gonna be Power Princess for some reason. It's just it's this thing where it's like Power Princess is gonna be weird.
She's gonna be she's the last like big name one that we're missing. Yeah. The others are kind of like, yeah, they're not super important actually having on the team. She's the one that's gonna be the 4th one.
Maybe Darkhawk might be kind of important. Like he's kind of the Batman analog, but I guess yeah. Or Nighthawk. Sorry, Nighthawk. I gotta keep calling him Darkhawk because that's a different character. That's a defender.
Well, that's the one we just got.
Yeah.
But we don't have a Marvel set announced for a while now, though.
No, I'm looking now. They announced all those monthly kits, but after Trinity War, there's nothing announced.
Which you guys gotten the has anyone gotten the forms for those yet? I was asking like my local judges because they were supposed to come out soon for all those team-based figures, and like
I saw
the monthly OP kits, yeah.
There's we're getting a President Luthor. We're getting a Lobo. We're getting a bunch of new Bizarro, a bunch of really awesome stuff from what I saw. I saw a thread on the Realms. I can't remember where, but it looks like those are actually really solid. We're getting a new Pete Wisdom. Like they're actually clixing a lot of important characters apparently with those. So
yeah, no, we're getting every kit we get like 2 new dial old sculpt ones, and then 1 new sculpt new dial. Like Angel to replace Archangel, Pete Wisdom. I don't know who he replaces.
Yeah, we're getting a new cable, so that's gonna be pretty cool. A new cable to go on the New Mutants team base, as if it wasn't already crazy enough.
I don't know, because we also get a new Captain Britain, so it's not gonna replace him.
No.
I don't know.
I'm leaning more towards Shadowcat or Megan is where I'm thinking. I don't think he'd replace Nightcrawler, but he might.
It makes the sculpt look really weird since they make it so Nightcrawler has a select spot. I can't remember who else is new. Oh, they're giving John Lynch for Gen 13 is the new character, new dial.
That's one of the 2 team-based stuff to get.
The Justice League one is
Black Canary.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Canary.
Finally.
And they
when
didn't.
the hell was the last Black Canary we got? Probably like, oh god.
Street Gotham.
Oh right.
Fast Forces and a main set one.
They're not that good though.
Fast Forces one has an in contact with Oracle. We all remember that C card, right?
Oh my god. Every time I play that feat, I forget about it. It's just wasted points. I would love to double in contact with Oracle that Black Canary.
There's a new. They said there's a new Wonder Girl, but they didn't say what team base it's for. So it's either for old or new Teen Titans. We don't know which.
Yeah, probably.
They might do that thing they did with the Nightwing and the Robin from that set, where they're interchangeable on the 2 team bases.
Right. Yeah. They could. Yeah. They'd probably do that. And then we get a new. For blue team base gets a new. Cyclops and Rogue.
Yeah, Cyclops.
We get a new Cheshire for Villains for Hire.
Yep.
We get a new Wonder Woman for Justice League as well. We get a new Captain Britain. We get a new Cannonball for New Mutants, which is good. Ooh. Hopefully they give him new ability, because he's utter garbage. He's the one you sacrifice every time.
I can't remember where I saw that.
He's the first one to go. Then he can pop off. You just like pull it from the top of the base.
Yeah, just like throw him all across the room. Like, yeah, thanks, Cannonball.
We just lost you.
I can't remember where I saw that Luthor one, because President Luthor is probably going to be really awesome.
Is he supposed to be from Flash or?
No, it's in one of the monthly kits. It
Sure,
was
I thought
him. They mentioned a new Lobo, but I don't remember if it was a new sculpt. But it's Lobo, so who knows?
Because I remember there's 2 kits for each. There's 6 figures total. Marvels were going to be Angel, Rogue, Psylocke, Captain Britain, Pete Wisdom, and Cannonball. For DC, it was going to be Black Canary, Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, Cheshire. Dang, what are the Teen Titans team bases
I
again?
don't even know.
I own Villains for Hire on
No
that
one cares.
today.
Gen 13,
JLA.
JLA.
John Lynch and the Sarah Rainmaker. So that's the 6 there. So that's all. That's the only ones I know of because it was 3 per kit and 4 of each figure.
We're getting a new Brotherhood Scarlet Witch. We're getting a Mastermind.
Oh, that's right. I remember the Mastermind. Yeah.
So these are even more. I only heard of those first.
And a new
12.
White Queen.
Oh, cool.
I'm just looking
Then you
forward to be
die.
able to be getting my my Rogue and my Psylocke outside of that stupid team base. And they announced
well, guys,
the-
it's getting pretty late for me. So I got to duck out. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, I have
And,
class in 7 hours, so I'm heading out too.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I need to sleep.
Sounds
See you,
good.
I'll
gents.
call this a night.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having me
last-
on, Ryan.
Yeah, no problem. It was entertaining for the last 15, 20 minutes. Just listening to you guys. I was like, ugh, I'm about to fall asleep. But it's all good, though. It's all good.
All
All right, guys. Have a good night. It's been a pleasure.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys for coming on. We'll have to do this again some other time.
Anytime.